There we are. Yeah, good afternoon, Jan.
Good morning, Michael. A little
Yeah.
bit a cold,
Oh my
but for the
goodness.
rest, everything is fine.
Yeah. So how was the trip?
Well, it was not bad. My family-in-law is doing well, so everybody's healthy and happy. So, but it was a
Excellent.
long time ago. It was a long time ago. It was seven years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because the last time we wanted to go there was COVID,
Yeah.
and so last year I wanted to go, but then I had to cancel because for my health. So finally I got there. Um, but
Yeah.
so the small ones were getting bigger.
Yeah. That's a long time for between seeing kids. They just
Mm.
it's like a completely different person now.
Yeah, if somebody from then who is at once 17, or somebody who was 18 who's now being a mother,
Mm.
25 and having her own kids. So
Wow.
yeah, it's amazing. It goes very fast.
Indeed. Well, good. I'm
But
glad you were able to take that time.
mm, but it's also an amazing experience always. I used to live there
Hmm.
last century for my work. So I know a little bit of culture,
Hmm.
but even then, uh, it has been so long. It's every time a culture shock,
Oh yeah.
and then you see that people. It's amazing, but whoever you are, you feel comfortable where you are with your own habits.
Yeah.
Um, System can be completely different.
Hmm.
If I move to a system where it's completely different, I might feel unsafe. People living there, they say, no, it's normal.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, what was the kind of the oh the cleaners are here. Um, and what was one example of something that that they do normally that it was just you were not used to it.
well, for example, very simple. Here we always wear a safety belt in the car,
Oh yeah.
and over there it has been improved because 30 years ago when I lived there, the situation was, but now it's okay. But still, the safety belts are there for decoration.
Hmm.
And in the front seats, if the police is there, you better put them, but in the back seats, no need.
Hmm.
And so even my wife, who has been living in Europe now for almost 30 years, when she's there, no safety belt.
Uh-huh.
For her, it doesn't matter. You say,
Yeah.
why you put? It's not necessary. But here, she always put it, and
Hmm.
I feel unsafe if I don't put it.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's unnecessary for legal reasons, but it's still just as necessary because of physics.
Mhm.
Because if
Yeah.
there's a if there's a crash.
Hmm. And like a very simple thing. If I ask them, I say, well, what is the emergency number here? If there is a medical emergency, oh, no idea.
Hmm.
I say over here, it's the first thing people ask. Now it
Yeah.
turns out to be the same number as here, the 112.
Ah, okay.
So,
Yeah. Over here it's
um,
911, so that's
yeah,
yeah.
over there they also have from fixed line it's 999 and from mobile it's 112.
Hmm.
Uh, so,
Oh, okay. I didn't know that it would differ.
mm,
Yeah, it's
but
911 on both in the
yeah,
states.
but in the States 112 is not working
No, no. Uh,
because on mobile phones that's a number which always works even if you don't have a SIM card in your mobile phone.
hmm.
So and for example, if there are multiple providers and your provider does not have coverage, then it will automatically switch to another provider which does have coverage.
Hmm.
So that's really on the level of the firmware in the phone and in the network.
Okay. Yeah,
Of course,
I will have to keep that in mind next time I at travel. It's like I didn't even think to ask.
And that's in the whole of Europe standardized. And so other countries like Malaysia are apparently also using it now. But it surprises me that in the States, because it's built into the phones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess the network here uses 911 because that's what we're used to on landlines. So yeah,
yeah,
we probably have, the firmware is probably, recognizing, oh, I'm in the States, I'm going to connect to 911. Because yeah, it's a similar situation. You can dial 911 without unlocking the phone. So you can just pick up any random phone and dial it.
okay. Okay, so it is foreseen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say I try on my phone 911 to see whether it.
Yeah,
But not
it's
gonna
not
try.
an experiment I'm gonna
Mm,
run,
mm,
but I'll just,
yeah.
yeah, when 911 isn't working, it's like, oh yeah, 112.
Mm. Because it's standardized in all Europe, but every country still has its own fixed lines. For
Mm-hmm.
example, here in France, it's 15 and 18. In Belgium, it's 101, I think. Yeah. But these old numbers, they still exist. So it's good if you travel. You just have to. It's better if you don't have to call it,
Yeah,
but it's good to know in case.
yeah, very true. Yeah, my travel this year is probably going to be constrained to North and South America, or mostly North America. Um, yeah, I probably have a Mexico and a Canada trip coming up. Um, we do have a new office in South America.
Okay.
So in Chile and in Argentina. So
Mm.
so I might find an opportunity to travel to South America, but yeah, haven't made it to the other side of the planet yet.
What about
Well,
starting an office in the south of France?
yeah, I like that idea.
Then you come and visit me.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we'll need an executive team, so I'll Jenny and I will move there, and then we'll hire you on and get
Yeah.
everything started.
Then you become an expat.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see more parts of the world.
Mm.
Yeah, experience more of that culture shock.
So I've been really disconnected for no. I still had two customers calling, so I had to. But for the rest, my computer has been off. So update me on the status of Jinaga.
Indeed, yes. So, yeah, the last couple of weeks, I've demonstrated um, using observability tools inside of the university example in order to to see the traces. So similar to what you see in browser tools when it's making this call out to here and it took this long, and then it's making these calls in parallel, that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, now using Jaeger, seeing that within the applications at the at the SQL Server, or the Postgres level, we're doing this, or even could be at the method level. So and then um, uh, so yeah, the first one I was just using observability tools for the application itself, for the university application. But then last week I added observability to the Genera replicator. So now it's throwing out all of these telemetry details. So you can actually see when the replicator throws an error. You can see how long it's taking to do certain operations. You can see the Postgres the SQL that it's generating in order to look up facts. And that really helped me to demonstrate the uniqueness constraint violation that that I've been seeing every once in a while in the replicator. So now I've
Okay.
got that a handle on that, and did one thing to make that better, which I can show today, and have another idea to go even further on that.
Mm. And that uniqueness constraint violation, it's not a bug. It's a bug or a design problem or
Yeah,
a timing issue.
it is. I would say the way that it behaves right now definitely qualifies as a bug. Um, so the problem is that it's trying to insert facts into the graph in the database, and the graph consists of the fact table, so all of the raw facts themselves, and then the edge table, so the connections, the predecessor connections between facts, and then also the ancestor table, so that it can just quickly look up, give me all of the descendants of this fact, or give me all of the ancestors of this fact. So you don't have to do a recursive query over the edges. So yeah, hitting all three of those tables, plus sometimes you need to insert the new fact type in the new role. So total of 5 tables, and it has to do that consistently. So there's a uniqueness constraint on the fact table that you only want 1 row per fact. So it's constraint on the fact type ID and the hash. So so you can't have multiple copies in there, because that would just blow everything out. And so if you get 2 threads going in there, they both start transactions, but one of them they'll first look to see what facts are already in the graph, already stored, and then say, okay, these are the new ones that I'm trying to insert. So it'll start that insert within that transaction. It's got to insert all of the facts in order to get those keys, in order to insert all of the edges, and then all of the ancestors. So meanwhile, this other one is going in there and trying to do an insert, and it's already read. It's already looked for the facts that it's trying to insert. So if those 2 subgraphs that they're both trying to insert happen to have some overlap, some predecessors that aren't yet in the database, then they're both going to try to insert them.
Yeah.
And so that's going to trigger that uniqueness constraint violation. Is going to roll back one of the transactions. And what we saw last week is that when that happened, it wasn't triggering the retry that I thought it would that it should trigger.
Okay. So these facts are, the other facts in the transaction are lost.
Yeah, it rolls back that request, which means that those facts are still on the source system. So so if you have enabled SQLite on your client, then it's going to get an error and it's going to retry, and those facts are going to be preserved there. But that's rolling it back too far. That's making another network call. And if you haven't enabled SQLite on your client, then that means that an exception is thrown from j.fact, and so the user experiences that error. So that's not the desired behavior. It ends up not losing data and not corrupting data, so it's not catastrophic, but it's not the desired behavior.
So perhaps the first thing should be to have that retry on the replicator working.
Yes. So I diagnosed that last week and figured out what was causing that. So so now I've got much simpler retry logic in the replicator, because it's like, oh, it was trying to do that retry in 2 locations and neither one of them was working. So so it's like, okay, let's get it into 1 location. Let's fix it so that it actually does what it should. And so it's now down to where it will retry on the replicator without throwing things back to the client. But I think that the performance can be improved, because it's doing that retry pretty frequently. So I set up a process that simulates some load, and I would have expected the conditions for this error to occur pretty rarely, but it happens pretty regularly now. So yeah, I'm thinking about different ways that I can solve this and make it happen much more rarely.
Mm-hmm. Or different type of transactions where, well, what's the name already, where you can, in one transaction, see the results already from the other transaction, where they're
Yeah,
not completely isolated.
yeah, yeah. Changing the default isolation level.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the options that I'm thinking about. Although,
But you
yeah,
have other risks.
yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
concerned. I'm concerned that I might see the facts that are being inserted by another transaction, and then now use those. Say, okay, they've already been saved, so now I'm just going to use those IDs as predecessors for these new facts. But then, if that one rolls back,
Yeah.
then well, I do have foreign key constraints that will trigger at that point. Say, no, those IDs don't exist anymore. So it might not be unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to prove that it is safe to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is fortunately having this fire hose process and having open telemetry. I can run these tests.
Yeah, luckily the problem has been diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important step to begin with.
Yes, indeed. Yep. So I can. Oh yeah, I should probably start Zoom so that I can share what's been going on. And meanwhile, there we go. Start that one. Okay. Share that screen. That's screen 2. Okay. And we need to show everybody else what I'm doing over here. Move that over. Okay. And there we are. Actually, I am going to switch to this one. So let's see. There's me. Okay. Yeah, this is Visual Studio Code preview because I really want to play with this feature right here, agent mode in Copilot edits, and it's only in VS Code Insiders. It's like, I really want to play with that. So I just got that installed here. I've been using the heck out of Klein, which is an extension. So if you want to play around with some agent-based coding, this is a great extension to try. You do need to sign up for your own AI API. So I use Claude for this. So you go to what is Claude again? Anthropic. You go to Anthropic and sign up. Put some quarters in the machine, and then put your API key in here. So that's been really helpful. But yeah, I want to try out Visual Studio or GitHub Copilot's agentic coding system. So anyway, the Firehose application. This is a good place to start. This is going to give you a console window where you can choose. Yeah, so here's some sample data for courses, and it's going to just keep running through this loop and generating some new course offerings. And every time create a brand new GUID, so even if they have the same properties, it's still going to look like a new offering, and it's gonna flood the system. So that is now part of the Docker Compose file. So if we look in here, let's not go with the Docker extensions. I'm fine without them. So we've got Elasticsearch and our replicator. Still have our importer and our indexer, but now we've got this fire hose. So it is going to run that console application. You can interact with it and get it sending messages. And all of these use the OTel exporter endpoint, including the backend replicator. So now it's going to send all of its open telemetry to the collector, and then it gets to you get to set the name of the replicator, because you're going to end up with more than one replicator. You need to be able to tell them apart. So let's change to the mesh folder and Docker compose up -d to disconnect --build to run all of the builds. Let's see. What is it having trouble with? I'm not sure why it says, let's see, this is looking for Docker options command, but I guess I don't have, I thought for sure I used that that syntax here. Oh, okay, I updated WSL2 recently. Okay, we are just going to switch to PowerShell. And yeah. So if I go to the projects folder and I switch to Janaga, I don't yet have the university system in here. Oh, well, that's because this is the repository. Let's see, what have I got? Yeah, so have I already installed university system? Let's go gh clone. So it's using GitHub to clone Janaga /university system. Oh, repo, sorry. GH repo clone. So now I've got the university system code, and I can go to the mesh folder here, and from here, well, let me make sure I've got Docker desktop started. I'm going to do a Docker compose pull. All right, starting the Docker engine. You can do it. Okay, I just got a dialog saying that it had shut down, or the Docker integration wasn't working over here. Let me try on this side again. So Docker -compose. Oh, let me try Docker compose pull. Okay, it's working again. So we're back in Ubuntu. We don't need PowerShell right now. Okay, so pulling the latest backend replicator, or pulling the latest Janaka replicator image, which is used by the backend replicator service. There we go. Okay, now we can do the docker compose up -d --build. Okay, and so this runs all of the Docker files to build all of the code, including the importer, the indexer, and the fire hose.
Yeah.
Then that should get us University Mesh. Started all of the containers. And let's expand that a little bit. So, yeah, a lot of containers already. So, Open Telemetry Connector Collector, so Grafana, Loki, Prometheus, Jaeger are all tools that the collector is sending telemetry to. They all do different things. But then we've got our indexer, importer, and fire hose that we've built here. And then here's our replicator and Elasticsearch. So if I just check real quick, I can see the replicator has started. That's nice. The fire hose, if I check this real quick, we see it hasn't started. But I can click on exec, and I can see there is the university.firehose DLL right there. Did I create a script? I did not create a script, so we just have to do this .NET run university firehose.dll. Or does yeah, without the run command, because it's already, this is the runtime, not the full SDK. So yeah, see, so download an SDK if you want to use the run command. But the runtime doesn't have run, build, and test and all those development tools. Instead, you have to package your DLL, and then you can just start it. Okay, so we've got our fire hose ready to take commands, and in the meantime, I'm going to come back here and take a look at, we will go with Grafana. This is the fun way to look at things. Okay, so in Grafana, let's do admin. And it's going to say, wait a minute, admin. Oh, no, I don't want to change password. So there we go. Now we've got to set up our data sources. So in the connections, we've got data sources. So we've already got Loki set up, and that will give us logs. If I also set up Prometheus, then that will give us some really cool telemetry, some metrics. So this right here gives me the instructions for how to do that. There's Loki, and there's Prometheus. Copy that. Paste that in there, and test that. All right. Okay, so from there, I can go to Explore, and I can take a look at metrics, and it just shows me all the metrics. This is everything that is coming out of any of those applications. So the ones that are interesting to me, we've got facts loaded total and facts, where's the other one? Oh, no facts have been saved yet. So there's also a facts saved total that will pop up. And then we'll also see the fire hose come into the picture here. But the graphs are all ready to go. So now we can come back here. We can start up the fire hose. All right, let's start the fire hose. Boom. Now here it's supposed to be updating this line to show me how many offerings per second. It's targeting 10 offerings per second, but for some reason it's not updating that line. And then we should see, if we turn on auto refresh, we should start to see some data flow through here. So yeah, we are getting right now a peak of 5 facts loaded per second, and that's going to last hour. That's way too zoomed out. Give me just 5 minutes worth. There we go. Okay, so that's starting to ramp up, and we will see what's up. I guess that's, oh yeah, that's a health check. Okay. So we are starting to see some activity. So and basically, as I try out different things, I'm going to make sure that we are getting, we're getting good throughput by referring back to these graphs. And I will set up a dashboard that will give me all of those graphs. Now I did set up a dashboard on my other machine, and I saved that. I saved some dashboards here. So let me see if I can. Well, I'm not sure how this is going to work. Let's try it. Let's import a dashboard. Okay, via the JSON model. So just copy it, paste it, and import it. Okay, yeah, that dashboard didn't translate. Well, let's see. Is that a simple fix? I'm going to edit. The data source for facts saved should be Prometheus. And the data source for facts loaded should also be Prometheus. Yeah, I don't know if that's working. It is set to auto. Now the offerings created, yeah, that's also Prometheus thing, because that's metrics replicator warnings. This is the one that I really want to see, and that's coming from Loki. So why am I not seeing? Okay, there we go. We're seeing some data. Okay, at least we're seeing that one. So let's see if I can zoom in on it. Well, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so here we are seeing those exceptions and retries happening. So you can see
quite a lot of them.
Yep. And you can see every time it does, it does a retry after 10 milliseconds, and then attempt number 2, it's going to retry after 20 milliseconds. There we go. So it's exponential, and maxes out after 4 attempts, or 4 retries. So 5 attempts total. And so that last one is going to be 80 milliseconds before it does that last attempt. And just running it at 10 per second, you can trigger a retry that it lasts at least or takes at least 2 attempts, which is already not ideal. But let's come in here and Control C, and then set the target rate to 50 per second. And then start the fire hose. And now we're targeting 50 per second. We should start to see the number of attempts increase. And meanwhile, we can go back to, let me open this in a new tab so we can just kind of flip back and forth. Okay. Past 5 minutes. Let's auto refresh. Okay. So, facts loaded. Yeah, this is probably the period at which I was shutting down the fire hose to change the rate. So now we're starting to see the rate kick back up. Yeah, here's facts saved. So we were saving individual facts is at about 20 per second. So one offering is a group of, the offering, it creates a new. Does it create a new course? No, it doesn't create a new course. So the offering, then the name, location, and instructor for that offering. So it should be 4 facts per offering. And even with the fire hose at 10 per second, it only got up to just above 20 facts saved per second. So yeah, I think we're getting a lot of back pressure on the fire hose. So it wouldn't even be a back pressure. It would be creating a whole bunch of facts and saving them locally in its own SQLite database. And so it's probably just filling up its outbound queue. And yeah, even increasing the target rate to 50 didn't really get us many more facts saved. So over here, yeah, I'm still seeing mostly 1 and sometimes 2 retries. But attempt number 2 seems to be a little bit more. Yeah, it's happening a little bit more frequently than before. But yeah, it's still not getting beyond 2 retry attempts. But yeah, this is probably just about every offering is going to be retried. So something's got to change. And I've got some ideas for what to change. So let's let that run for a little bit. And let's talk about what could possibly change. So I've actually created a pull request for one of those changes. So let's go back to here. So that was the fire hose PR. Got that in there. But let's go all the way back to Janaga server. And in here, I've got a brand new PR that I just created today. And right there, it is not quite working, but that's because I created it using GitHub Copilot workspace. So I basically just said, hey, here's the task. I want you to add an option to lock when starting the transaction so that only one thread, there we go, yeah, so that only one thread can execute at any given time. So the idea is that in most database applications, you've got your client that it connects to a database somewhere else, and so it's you're just depending upon transactions in order to make sure that that those different clients are coordinating with one another. But in the case of a replicator, the replicator process wraps the database itself. So just making sure that here we are. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. There we go. Got the video back. Yeah, but in the case of a replicator, it is so yeah, the replicator process wraps the database, so it's the only process that's accessing that particular database instance. The idea being that replication is really all about moving the data from place to place to place, whereas most applications are, you've got the processing, all the compute is in different places, but then the data is in a central cluster that they're all connecting to. And so because of that difference, the first thing that I wanted to try was just lock the lock around the transaction, so that only one thread getting into the replicator is going to be hitting the database in order to perform this this operation.
Serialize access to the database.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm basically exploring, what does the the absolute extreme option look like? And what I hope to find is that when I take a look at these metrics, so first of all, I hope to find that this behavior stops. If we're getting this duplicate key violation and we've locked the access to the database, so there's only one thing in this code, then yeah, there's something more to explore. But yeah, so I want to see that stop entirely, and then I want to see how does this compare with this baseline. So yeah, our facts loaded. Wow, it's dropped. So yeah, all of this churn is causing it to, yeah, here's the fact saved. It was up at 20, now it's dropped. And I wonder if the fire hose has crashed. And it says it's still running, which, yeah, it's still producing something, but wow. So yeah, I want to see that go away. I want to see what does that affect against this baseline, and then basically take that as a new baseline. So okay, yeah, I should see that I can actually get more transactions through if I'm locking around the transactions. But yeah, I'm interested to see how many more, or do I actually get more? And then we can try some other alternatives. So yeah, if we take a look at what this thing did, we've got our lock transaction option. So we can set that inside of Janaga server.create. It forwards that to the connection or the Postgres store. And then inside the Postgres store, we have a nice little mutex. And so if we are locking transactions, then we use run exclusive on the mutex and wrap that around with transaction. Otherwise, we just run with transaction. So once I get this actually working, then I'll be happy to publish this as a new version of Janaga server, and nobody will notice unless they go into Janaga server create and say, hey, what's this new thing? Let me set it to true. But then I'll be able to run a Janaga replicator and try try this out locally, see if this is going to improve things. I'm curious what happened here. Yeah. Expected 2 arguments, got 3. This should be actually an easy fix. Why don't we try this real quick? I'm going to go to, open a folder, and I want to go to Janaga server. And so the first thing is do a fetch. So we got everything there. And then I can do a GHPR list. So this is my pull request 145. So GHPR checkout number 145. Open add lock transactions. Oh, I thought I did select a pull request. Okay. So I now have that pull request open, and we can do Control-Shift-B, do an npm build. Now this would be a nice little tangent. Let's see if GitHub Copilot can fix this error for me. This would be fun. All right. Control-Shift-I, Copilot. We're in Copilot Edits, and I want to enable I want to enable agents. Why am I not seeing that option? Oh, okay, because I'm not signed in. I thought that I was signed in. Continue. You can do it. Okay. Now we are signed in. We've got chat. We've got edit, but I want to use agents. Where are my agents? There we go, toggle agent mode. Okay, now we've got it in agent mode. Okay, so let's just tell it what the problem is. So when I run, oh, you can't see me typing over here. Let me squeeze this down a little bit so everybody can see. Okay.
I can see it in Zoom.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at the
YouTube.
At the YouTube, and it's there we go. I'm gonna run npm build, npm run build. I get an error. Just do it. So it should figure out, hey, I need to run npm run build. Good. Okay. The build process encounters several TypeScript errors. There they are. Boom, boom. The extension wants to sign in using GitHub. Well, I just did. Why is it, I thought that I had done that. Let me make sure that I get my my password over here. Let's see, I'll come over here and I will, let me open that in a different browser. Okay. Let's sign in using GitHub again. Yeah, it says it signed in. Okay, I guess the extension needs to do it. All right. Yeah, now it's going to try that in a different browser where I'm already signed in, and we are good, I think. Okay, so let's start by searching for the Janaga module to understand its exports. The Janaga module does not export fetch, connection, persistent fork, or queue. Oh, install the async mutex module. And then I can review all the different changes here. So it wants to remove this trace. Why? I don't want it to do that, so I'm going to undo that change. What are you doing? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, looks like we have a break here. Okay. Applying some edits. It's commenting out fetch connection. And persistent fork. It's removing the lock transaction. Yeah, this is not going well. It's trying a whole bunch of things that are basically undoing the work that it did or that that Copilot did inside of the workspace. Okay, so far I might be going back to Klein for my daily edits. But as you could see here, it was able to run some commands. Yeah, here it ran the command. It saw the command output, and yeah, just stop. Done. Okay, roll that back. Let's try one more time and see if you can do any better. So that's all rolled back. Yeah, you should close all your windows. Well, close. Don't save. Close. All right, we good? Why does this still say 1? Okay. Maybe I've been unfair. I started it out with something that didn't compile. So if I check out main, create a branch, and I'll do add lock transactions local. Now let's try the same prompt that I gave GitHub Workspace. Wait a minute. Where was that workspace? Oh, okay. That was over here. Okay. Here's my workspace session. And we just want to try like for like. Do that same thing over here. And see what you come up with. Now, there is one Yeah, so it's in agent mode, but there is one pretty big difference, I think, between what I'm seeing here and Klein. Klein has a toggle um, that will keep it in plan mode until you're ready to execute the plan, and then when you're ready, then you switch it to act, and it starts to do all these things. And I'm not seeing that option here. I find that very useful because it generates an entire implementation plan, explains what it's going to be doing, and then I'm able to say, nope, don't do that. Try this instead. You know, sometimes it'll even ask a question about, well, I have these three options. Which do you prefer? So we get all that worked out before I hit act.
So it's much more interactive.
Yeah. Yeah, so it searched the code base. It found 9 results for Janaga server create. Some of them were inside of the README. Some of them were inside of the replicator code that's in here, which is just a test replicator. And then it says, okay, that's the one that I need to change. So let's hide that for a little bit and see what changes it makes. Okay, so it's going to it's going to add a config lock transactions. That's good. That's similar to what it did before. And then here, I don't know why it's messing with this part. This is all the authentication code. So it's just creating a new HTTP network, which is not the same thing as this fetch connection. That's a completely different object. So far, not seeing anything impressive. Changing persistent fork to transient fork? No. There's a condition right here. If I've got a web client, so if I've got a pool, so I've got some sort of a Postgres connection pool, then I want the persistent fork, and it just changed it to transient fork. We've already got another condition for that. Yeah, so it did that because it found an error. So let's address these issues one by one. We remove the persistent fork and import its usage. Yeah, so even though I see Klein do this less, it's still a thing that these agents tend to do, is they're searching a space to find a solution to a problem that they see, and they search bad paths just as often as they search good paths. So I did experience this with Klein over the past week. Is that I was asking it to set up authentication inside of an application, and in order for it to get authentication working, it ran into a CORS issue where it couldn't make a call from the browser to the identity provider in order to get the token. So it set up a proxy inside of the application in order to call the identity provider from there. But that was completely unnecessary because I could just go to the identity provider and reconfigure things to enable the CORS headers. So it put a whole bunch of code into my application that I didn't even want. But yeah, looks like this is just running rampant through the code and making all sorts of changes that are not what I want.
Not very efficient for the moment.
No. Okay, well, that was an experiment.
Luckily, there is Git, and
Yes.
we can undo everything.
Yes, indeed. Yep, so let's just let that finish whatever it's going to do. I'll check back on it later, and we'll see that. Where is the? There it is. Okay. Yeah, we will see that. Yeah, what it comes up with. Maybe it'll go through this bad path and then figure out, oh, okay, now I can restore all of these things and how to figure out what the real problem is. I doubt it. It's probably not going to find a good place. But
give it some time.
Yeah. But that's the plan. Put a lock inside of Janaga server, activate that lock in Replicator, test it out, see, get a new baseline, and then play around with some different patterns. Like, for example, the changing the isolation level. Yeah. It might even change the isolation level in the opposite direction. So, change it down to read uncommitted to see if it can find the facts that are being inserted elsewhere, but then also switch it all the way up to serializable, which should basically have the same effect as the lock itself, but do that inside of Postgres. Measure those two.
And see which position gives the best throughput.
Yep. But that's what I love about this, is that you can run experiments. You don't have to just guess and ship something.
You don't have to set up a simulation. You can really watch it in with telemetry now.
Yep. Very good. Well, that's where we are.
I'm impressed that really all these parameters are visible now. That's really nice.
Yeah. I had already put those hooks into Janaga server because I'm using that in the replicator as a service. So that's running in Azure, and I hooked that up to Azure's observability solution. I forget what that's called now, but now that there's open telemetry, I was able to just rewire those hooks, create an open telemetry version of it, and I've actually just got that in Janaga Replicator itself. I haven't published that open telemetry stuff for other people to use yet, but I think I might turn that into another npm package. It'll be a small one, but now use Janaga server and then use this little open telemetry thing. But right now I'm focused on getting the replicator Docker image to a point where you can confidently use that inside of a production application.
Janaga is getting more and more mature. That's a good thing.
Indeed. All right. So next week. Do you think that you'll be back on top of DWS? And
I'm gonna try that. I still have to catch up with a little bit other things. From Monday to now, I've been catching up.
Yeah.
But I think this weekend it would be all right. So then I can focus again a little bit on DWS.
Excellent.
Let's try that.
Yes.
Let's try that.
Yep.
Okay.
That'll be good.
Then see you on Thursday.
Yes, indeed. See you then.
Okay. Michael, have a nice day.